thewellnesscouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives. This is Up for a Chat with Cindy O'Mara, Karen Smith, and Kim Morrison.
Here we are, up for a chat about the hottest topics that are important to you, inspiring you to awaken the change within. I'm Karen Smith.
I'm Kim Morrison.
And I'm Cindy O'Meara.
And I am very excited to introduce today's guest. Paula is someone that I met through my business environment and the crowd that we all work with, and our business coach Bruce Campbell, that many of you have heard on the podcast already. And I had the privilege of sitting next to her husband at one of our big events one day, and unbeknown to me, at the same time, I got an email from this gorgeous woman who was in hospital, who wanted to read, or had my book, I think the story goes, Like Chocolate for Women. And I'm going to get Paula to tell her story, but over the next half an hour, as I listened to her tell her story, and from her husband's perspective, I realized that this woman had been, I would say, to hell and back. And I just really wanted to share Paula with our listeners, because I know a lot of us are struggling at times, and a lot of us don't always have a great time in life. So I really wanted to hear from Paula about how she's got through this tough time, and more importantly, how she survived, thrived, and also inspired so many people. So Paula Gowland, welcome to the show, darling. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, girls. Thank you for having me on Up for a Chat.
I know, you've been a listener for a while, haven't you?
I have.
Paula, tell us your story from what happened in June 2014 and how you came to being where you are now.
Okay, well, on the 1st of June, I, in my wisdom, thought that it would be a great idea to to wash my curtains and hang them up to dry. I had my husband yelling at me in the background because we'd planned nothing for the day, and our plans were to watch The Hobbit. So I decided to wash the curtains and hang them up, and I stood on the end of my bed to pull all the little plastic things together so I could quickly hang them up and quickly jump on the lounge and start watching TV. Unfortunately, I slipped off the end of my bed and I broke my leg in 4 places. I was rushed to hospital and was going to need basically emergency surgery to fix the break. I had surgery the following day, and because my leg had swelled so badly, they decided to do external fixations and wait for the swelling to go down before they fixed what was just a broken leg. Unfortunately, something went wrong that night after the operation, and we then had to go through 7 operations to try and save my leg. In September that year, after being in hospital that whole entire time, I was told that my leg had to be amputated above the knee. I sought a second opinion from a surgeon in Sydney, and unbeknownst to me at the time was the top orthopaedic surgeon in Australia. He flew to Brisbane and met me in the middle of the airport. He stripped down my bandages and he asked me, was I sweating and was I able to wait there? And he put me on the next plane and amputated my leg below the knee that night.
Keep going.
So I then had my leg amputated below the knee and unfortunately battled with infection after infection for the next 18 months. And in the process, I lost my gallbladder, and in May 2000 and 16, I ran out of antibiotic options. So it meant every time I had an infection, I had to spend 12 weeks at a time in hospital. I then made the decision in June 2016 to amputate my leg above the knee, and finally was able to come home in November 2016.
Tell me, Paula, in all of this time, I mean, it's pretty shocking to hear the story, but when you said something went wrong that first night, what was the thing that originally, I mean, you had a broken leg, you had an external support system put on there until the swelling went down, but what was the problem?
The problem was I was having compartment syndrome, and that is where there's like a thick skin or around the muscle in 5 different compartments of the leg. And in all 5 compartments, my muscles were they were swelling, and it got to the point where they couldn't swell any further because of the skin that is around the muscle, and they started to die. Unfortunately, when they did amputate my leg below the knee, I had septicemia.
Cindy, just before we carry on, what's your take on all of this so far?
I'm in shock. I'm listening to this, and I didn't realise you lost your gallbladder as well. What I would love to know is that a broken bone and then it's fixed. I thought was it a fracture that came through the skin, or
no?
It didn't.
Fractured my tibia lengthways down.
Oh, lengthways. Okay. So what was the problem? Was it what happened in hospital? Did you get an infection in hospital? Were you prone to that situation happening? Because I'm sure other people who have had broken bones, like I've had a broken collarbone, I've had a broken foot. So I've broken a few bones and they've just been set, and I walked away and never thought about them again. You know, it took 4 to 6 weeks to mend. What was different about your case? Why did you have this compartmentalized problem as opposed to most other people who break a bone?
Well, when you're having compartment syndrome, what was supposed to happen was a physiotomy was supposed to be done, where they sliced my leg open and let the muscles breathe. Unfortunately, that was not performed, and because they didn't go in to put the pins, plates and screws in for 23 days later, by the time they did go to fix the broken leg, it was already my muscles were dying, or were dead and still dying.
So was this now we know that emergency medicine is amazing and it saves a lot of lives, and we're not going there, but what I'm going to is, was this a medical mistake on your part? Like for you, not on your part, but was this a medical mistake that was done to you?
Yes, I believe it was.
It was.
Wow.
Mm.
I mean, that's pretty dire consequences. I mean, have the hospitals taken responsibility for that, or?
Unfortunately, no.
No, and this is where it's caused major issue. I just want us all to picture this. You're a mother of 3 young, active kids. 2 of them are teenagers and a young boy. You've got a husband that's running a business, that you two are running the business together, and all of a sudden you find yourself in hospital over the next 2.5, 3 years, in and out, and major surgeries and major drug and major antibiotics and everything just absolutely thrown at you. This is where I find Paula so amazing, is that she still managed to smile. She still managed to keep a positive heart. But I'm sure, Paula, there were days where you must have wondered, why me, or how come, or what were your darkest days like, and how did you get through those?
Oh, I guess the day that they told me that I had to fly to Sydney for an amputation, that was that was one of the hardest days, knowing that I was leaving the coast and to have my leg amputated, and knowing that I was going to come back as a different person, not only in looks but emotionally as well. I think I was okay once they amputated my leg, because I guess by that stage I had been in hospital for nearly 4 months, and I had resigned to the fact that I was going to lose my leg, and that was going to be a better option than dragging around a leg that wasn't going to work in my head. And I guess once I actually had the amputation, it was a relief that everything was going to just be okay from then on. But learning to walk was a lot harder than I anticipated. The infection, still being in hospital, in a Sydney hospital away from my family for another 2 months, was hard. But I kind of came home at Christmas time that in 2014, just thinking that I was going to be a below knee amputee, and I just had to get on with life. I guess the dark days started after I was getting infection after infection after infection. And I'm the only, and because I've also chosen to have osseointegration, so that is where they have placed a rod into my bone, and it will then start to integrate with the bone so that I don't have to wear a socket. And when that was fitted, and when I was using it as a below amputee, I have to say life was okay. It was manageable. I could still walk. I was in no pain, and I got probably 90% of my day-to-day things were back to normal. But once we started having the infection after infection after infection, it got to the point where my osseointegration rod was removed, and then I had to wait another 12 weeks for it to be put back in again. And then it was kind of like everything just started all over again. So I was back to square one, waiting for the osseointegration to heal and get well. My leg had been sliced open again, and we were back to square one. But we then continued to have infection after infection after infection, and we had to make the choice to have an above knee amputation and then start the osseo process all over again.
And tell me how that was in the hospital from a. I'm just trying to picture this when you're someone who is conscious about what they eat, and you are someone who's very on a very big learning process. And from what I gathered when I first met you, you were already on this wonderful health journey. To find that now you're living off hospital food in Sydney, away from the Sunshine Coast, away from your family and friends, what was that like?
The food was a really big part of the reason I believe I couldn't get healthy. There was no nutrition in any of the hospitals that I was in at all. You couldn't get anything that was fresh. Majority of the meals were either pasta or rice. And we really struggled in that area to get fresh, healthy food. Once, I guess there was a point where I had a lot of beautiful people bringing me in healthy food that became a regular thing. And one of the things that my nurses always talk about is I was one of the best fed people, and I believe is what helped stop the infection once my leg was amputated further, because I had bone broths and really healthy salads and things being brought in from people on the outside, as I called it, while I was in there.
It's amazing, actually. We all talk of community and we all talk of the preciousness of that. And one of the things, Karen and Cindy, is Paula, and amongst all of this, was doing the health and lifestyle education program through 28 with me and learning all about the oils, and often would have the oils and the diffuser and everything in her room. And when the tribe, the community of HLEs, realised what was happening, complete strangers to Paula, people that didn't know her, were dropping meals up to her and taking things up to her. And I think that's just the generosity of spirit of people when we're in a community where we feel a part of something special. Tell us how you used the oils and what happened with a number of the nurses and doctors, Paula.
Well, I guess to go back one step forward, the reason that I started using the oils was because of one particular night where my family were actually starting to fall apart at the seams. My husband, John, wasn't coping all that well with me being away for so long. And my daughter called me in the middle of the night saying, you know, I don't know what to do. Dad needs help. Ethan's crying and I don't know how to fix it. So I'm sitting in a Sydney hospital thinking, how am I going to fix my family? It was at that point that I knew that there was nothing I could physically do to help any of the kids or John at that particular time. And that was when I did go back to what I had read in the Like Chocolate for Women's book about using the oils to get a different mindset, I guess. I had to find a way to be strong enough to be able to fight these infections and to get home to be able to help my kids and John get through this. And so I started with one oil, which is all I could get my hands on. And I started to use that oil to ground me minute by minute, and then it became half an hour by half an hour and hour by hour until I was able to look at the whole situation from a different perspective. I then became this person that had to do whatever it took to get home and help John and the kids. So I guess using the oils then helped me to move forward. But in doing that, I had, at one point, I had all the oils I could get my hands on and a diffuser, and I got as many things over a period of 3 or 4 months that I could get to every time that I was in that hospital room to keep my mindset where it needed to be. And so the nurses would come past my room, and first of all, I was known as the person that had the most amazing smelling room, and they knew where I was because they could smell me, and then it became the nurses coming in and finding out what it was I was doing and why I was doing it. So it became very well known on many wards that aromatherapy was amazing and was helping me come through something that was very, very challenging. And it was amazing to see, you know, the people that were wanting oils just from me using them because they could see that they were truly amazing and they were truly helping.
You know, we were having a discussion about the food that is in hospital, and I go to food because that's my favourite thing to go to. And you know, many people were saying, oh, you know, most hospital stays are just, you know, 2 to 3 days, and that might be the case, but in that 2 or 3 days, you can start to make healthy changes. But it's interesting that many people have said, oh, I was in hospital for 4 months or 5 months or 6 months, or my son's in hospital all the time. So I don't know if that 1 to 2 days or 2 to 3 days is applicable. So in order to get good food, what did you end up doing? I know people brought it into you, but that wouldn't have been happening breakfast, lunch and dinner. How did you do that, especially with your family here on the Sunshine Coast and you in Sydney?
Well, I was very fortunate that my sister lives in Sydney as well, so she would also bring me in food, and I had a girlfriend that actually just lived down the road, and her husband became my personal chef.
Oh, lucky you.
Yes. So I was very fortunate to be able to have whole foods brought in to me on a daily basis, and I wasn't eating hospital food at all towards after 3 or 4 months I was actually able to. The whole time I was in Sydney I never ate anything from the hospital food. I can remember when I asked one of the ladies that comes around and brings your food, I said to her, is there actual pumpkin in that pumpkin soup? And she went, oh, no, it's all just made with powder.
Yeah. It's like the eggs and the potato. You see the eggs and you see the potato. They're just all powder. And it's how does a body heal? How do we get our immune system? Like, there's so much science out there, and they all, we all talk about evidence-based. And here we have hospitals that are all about evidence-based, and yet they're feeding this non-nutrition. It's not nutrition. It's non-nutrition, these food-like particles to people like you who need the best of foods to heal. Yeah, it's Paula, I'm absolutely blown away by you. I'm listening to, I've heard parts of what has happened to you, but I'm listening to you and you seem so strong and very matter-of-fact about what's happened. But you must have had some times when you just were thinking, what am I doing? What is happening? Is there no advocate out there that can help me? Is there? Because it sounds like you were fairly removed from what was happening with your family. And it's almost like it was your family that you went, right, that's it. I have to get back for my family.
Yeah, I did have some. I mean, there was some very dark days emotionally that I really had to get through. Just things like, people were going to look at me differently. I was always such a confident person. I was a trainer in my previous job before my accident. So to stand up and talk in front of people was nothing. But I was then dealing with things like, I'm not going to be able to stand up in front of people without them wondering what's happened. I'm going to look different. I started, because of the not eating well, I gained nearly 15 kilos due to medication as well as not having correct food. So I was a lot bigger than I liked, and I became very self-conscious of how was I going to fit back into society when everything is so different. And I had a lot of counselling. I couldn't get through the first 6 months without counselling to be able to talk about my feelings and how I really felt, because I personally found it very hard to let anybody know that I was struggling, and that became a real issue. I guess halfway through, because I always put on a brave face and I was always okay. But lucky for me, there was 2 nurses on the ward that saw through what was actually happening, and I was able to get help when I needed it. There was many nights where I just cried myself to sleep, thinking, why me? Why has this happened to me? And how I was going to get through it. But it wasn't something that I let anybody else know about.
I just can't imagine. Sorry, Karen, go.
No, God, Kimmy.
I just can't imagine not only going through the trauma of losing your leg and, as you say, your identity perhaps changing or definitely changing, and losing a gallbladder and having to endure the food, but thankfully some good people and nurses and doctors, I'm sure, along the way as well. But also the hardest thing that I keep feeling and hearing for you is being disconnected from your family and knowing that they're struggling and fighting and arguing and upset and all understandable. And that's what I was going to ask you too, Karen. I mean, you have spent a lot of time in hospital and you've endured, huge hurdles to overcome. What did you understanding the mindset here, Karen, of what Paula's been through?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, there's the physical side of it, which, takes a lot of adjustment in terms of finding that new normal, because it's almost as if you've got to create a whole new relationship with yourself. Would you agree with that, Paula?
Yeah, and I guess that's where I'm struggling more right now, because the infection is gone. I'm out of hospital, and what happens to Paula Gowland now? That's one thing that I really am struggling with right now.
Yeah, so that's and I please forgive me if I cross a line here. From a counselling perspective, this is another level now, and coming to understand the new normal as to who are you, because who you've been, it has evolved, it's changed, it's transformed. And to create a new normal and a new relationship with this new normal is really the next level of coming to terms with this change. And we go through an emotional roller coaster. We go through the whole emotional tone scale of, disappointment and anger and all of the different emotions that we would go through if we were grieving. And I don't know if you've already gone through this or the counsellors have taken you through it, but I remember even for myself, there was this massive grieving period for me, and it didn't come until 18 months to 2.5 years after I'd gone through what I'd gone through. And then the big impact kind of hit me at about the 3-year mark, where I realized, there's no more hospitals for me. There are no more doctors for me. This is it. I'm on my own, and people are not talking about it anymore. Everybody else has moved on, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
And I found that in and of itself to be massively challenging, so that I could then not hold myself in a place of grief, so that I could actually move myself through the process of healing. And I guess it's more of a focus on healing and creating a new normal. What's it going to look like? Because that can actually be a really exciting journey if you're to look at it like that, to say, well, you know what, this is a chance for me to reinvent myself. All the things that I wished I'd never done, or all the things that I'd wished I could have done, or all the things I wished I'd done differently when it comes to my work or when it comes to who I've been. This is a chance for me to write a new story. And what's that story going to be? What do you want to include in it? What do you want it to look like? Start to paint a picture for yourself and look forward into the possibilities, rather than looking backwards and missing what was, because it's about a new normal now more than it is about anything else.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah. Because I guess that's where I'm at now. I've always tried to not look back. I've always tried to look forward, but you get so used to when I get out of hospital and when this ends and when everything goes back to normal. But in actual fact, it doesn't. That doesn't happen. You do. No, it won't. Yeah,
it won't, Paula. It's and like I keep saying, it's a new normal. It's not going to go back to normal. And, the grieving process is, one, grieving for the physical loss, but secondly, grieving for the emotional and the mental loss of what was and getting back to.
Yeah.
So there's a sense of grief, which can be, those quiet moments when it's just you with you and the lights go out and you're lying on your pillow and the whole world comes past you again and your experience rushes through you and you don't know what to do with it because you don't have a frame of reference for this. This is completely new to you. And
and those feelings actually have been coming more so since coming home in November than they were previous.
Well, no doubt about
it. Also, not only has Paula and John and the family had to endure all of this, Karen, also, they've lost their house. Paula needs a new leg, and that's an $85,000 prosthetic leg that needs, and yet they've lost their house. We're talking major, life changes. They've tried to start up a new chemical-free cleaning business, which has done well. But as well as we all do, all three of us know that it takes months, if not years, to really establish a good income from a business, let alone her husband and what he's had to endure, becoming the mum and then also the dad, the provider, but also stay strong. And for many of us, no disrespect to Johnny or any men out there, to be all of a sudden put into that position can be incredibly confronting in itself. 2 teenage daughters, or one that's now in her 20s, a wedding, a new baby. There is some beautiful light at the end of the tunnel, but Paula's oldest daughter is now married and has a brand new baby, so that's lifted spirits. I certainly can see that. But Karen, how do you make sense of this when at the end of it we all say money's not everything, but ultimately without money you can't, it's very hard to make new choices. How do you confront that situation for someone like Paula who's willing, able, and would give anything to do it all? But, wow, how many knocks can someone take?
I think Byron Katie is beautiful the way that she puts this, and it's about loving what is. And if a person does look at it from the context of it's another knock, I'm brought to my knees again, or, I can't cope with this, it's too much, then that will be the experience. But I think what could be most helpful for Paula at this point in the healing process, and it's just part of the process. I mean, who's to know how long the emotional and mental healing is going to take? And not even Paula knows that, and even for myself, I'm 15 years down the track and I'm still revealing new layers. It's like kind of being an onion. But I think that if we can look at this with a really positive mindset and look at all of the beautiful things that Paula aspires for in creating this new normal, like the beautiful things that are now becoming possible because she's able to write a new story. If you really think of it in that context, I'm going to write a new story and I'm going to have my beautiful prosthetic leg. It's coming. And I know it's coming and I'm excited for it. And this is what I'm doing now. And this is what I'll do when that leg arrives. And this is what I'll do after that leg arrives. Like just allowing clarity and certainty to be your guide and shifting your emotional tone from one of suffering into one of creativity. It's an easier leap to make when you can look at it from the perspective of this is reality. This is what it is, and I will learn to love this. I may not love it right now, but I will learn because there is no alternative. I have children, I have a beautiful husband, and I have a massive life to live. And you know what, I was just thinking, Paula, there's a book in you, girlfriend, that is going to be so amazing. When
I've already titled it, Karen.
Yeah?
Break a leg.
What is it?
Get out there and break a leg.
Break a leg.
Haven't we, Paula?
Yep.
Oh, dear.
That's exciting. See, and that really is the way that we need to keep looking at things, because you know what? Here's the thing. Sometimes life is going to throw us with major curveballs, and we might get 2 in a row, we might get 40 in a row, but nothing is designed to be destructive. And I know that can sometimes be very hard to hear, but everything is designed for our expansion and our growth. And it starts with the inside job. So if we can dive deep inside, come to terms with what is real, and then say, well, this is real, and I'm going to write myself a new story. I'm going to create a new normal with my husband. I've got to create a new normal with my children. I've got to create a new normal with my job. I've got to create a new normal with myself. And small steps, but be excited about that beautiful money that's coming your way, that incredible prosthetic leg that's coming your way, because every thought you have is creative. And because you have such a profound emotional charge around you right now, Paula, your thoughts are even more creative. So it's all the more important that you're in the driver's seat of creating this new normal and facing in the direction of the next moment and the next moment and the next moment, rather than facing in the direction of where you've been. Because where you've been, you know it. You're an expert at it. You've got the T-shirt on it. You know the journey that you've had. Embrace it, love it. You know, and it's probably a little early to say find the gift in it. I don't know. I don't know how far along you are.
Oh, absolutely. Like I say to John all the time that we wouldn't be the people that we are today if I hadn't have lost my leg. We have found so many beautiful people that we surround ourselves in now that weren't there previous to my accident, and there's that in itself is so much to be grateful for.
Well, my love, you've come a long way. Really, I mean, to be able to say that at such an early stage, really, I think is incredible, and it's kudos to you, to your mental tenacity and your emotional resilience. I think you're an amazing human being. I'm totally on Cindy's camp with that. I think you're a spectacular example for everybody. So I think now it's just, you know, if you were sitting in front of me in a counselling chair, I'd be saying to you, it's time then to get excited about what we can create, and let's get a notebook, let's get a journal, let's start creating in each area of your life. Let's take the first step. What does it look like? And when you put it down on paper or on a piece of butcher paper, then it's out of your head and it allows room for the next idea or the next level of clarity to find you. And in doing that and being excited about your leg, then the money will start to flow. So let's all get excited. Let's start getting that money flowing, that crowdfunding flowing, so that you can get that $85,000 that you need to be the active woman that you know you're going to need to be, given the size of the job that you've got to do on this planet. You know, you've experienced something that 99.9% of people haven't experienced. And that's not yours for no reason. You know, I always believe that we take one for the team, and you've taken a really big one, and your job now is to really get amongst it and start sharing the gifts of it so that we can all learn from you.
It's almost like Karen always says, Paula, that, you know, she took one for the team. Don't let a bomb blow you up in order to wake up to your life. It's almost like, you know, you got to stand up and deliver no matter what comes to you. And I think that's something, I know you're still working through this, and I think we can safely say we are all a work in progress. And I think in many ways you probably don't realize how far you've come, and certainly the inspiration you've been to your two daughters and your son and your beautiful husband, who are all phenomenal people and still keep standing up to take more and do more. And I think that's a credit to you all. One thing that our beautiful business coach, Bruce Campbell, wanted to do and to create was, when Karen, you just set it for crowdfunding, and one of the reasons I wanted to bring Paula onto this show is to let people know that, you know, there is an opportunity for us to support Paula if you've been touched by her story, or you think that there's a way that you could help her and her beautiful family. And I know there's lots of amazing causes out there. I know there's lots of people that need help. There's no accident that we happen to be listening to this right at this moment. But for those of us that have been touched by Paula's story, you only have to Google Many Miles for Paula, and you will come up with a link or a page that will come up from Chuffed, which is an organisation that allows us to start and create campaigns. And we are nearly $1,000 into our $85,000 fundraising campaign. And I just think if people would like to support Paula and her family, particularly Paula, this is about getting her leg. Actually, this is about nothing else. But as Karen just alluded to, the minute she gets that leg, I would imagine there's a lot of work to be done. So yes, you can join us on the Sunshine Coast. We're having an event there on Saturday, May the 27th. Where from about 6:30 in the morning, we're all running. We're going to use our healthy legs to walk or run as many Ks as we can, and you can either donate a percent and a small amount if you would like to on that page, or you can come and join us and register and be part of the team and walk with me and a number of beautiful local identities that want to support Paula. So how does that make you feel, Paula, to think that this has been put on even without you knowing it? How does that feel?
Yes, well, it's been very, very overwhelming to know that there is going to be so many beautiful people on that track on May the 27th, and they're all there for me. And that's really overwhelming, and that's sometimes I just pinch myself to go, how did that happen? But yeah, it's amazing, and this is what I mean when I say we are so grateful for the people that we're now surrounded by, because that's why this is happening. Because our friends and people that we've met through Bruce Campbell and through Kim and the HLE program, they are truly amazing people.
It's interesting. I had the opportunity to come down and surprise visit you a couple of times down in Sydney in the hospital, which was such an honour to deliver a whole big package of goodies from a whole lot of people that adore you and love you and want to support you. I'll never forget one day, though, coming down, and it was in your rehab after the above-the-knee amputation. And I got to sit there with about 8 of you who had all lost your legs or leg. And I was instantly amazed. I mean, we don't think about the people out there who have had motorbike accidents, or there was one gentleman there who had had a drug issue. There was a lady there. The stories that they were telling and talking were not your normal. I don't even know what normal is to lose a leg, in all honesty. And the strength, and seeing the 8 of you sitting in that circle, and what was that like as far as being around other people in the same situation as you day in, day out? How did that affect you?
That was good and bad, Kim, because it also showed me the side of becoming an amputee and being addicted to pain medication as well, because there was some people. I don't have the trauma, I guess, that goes with losing a limb. I fell off my bed and hanging curtains. I didn't have the car accident. I didn't have the things that other people have also got to deal with as well. So it was a big eye opener to see that not only was I just dealing with not having a leg, but these other people were dealing with bigger issues as well. And I guess it really honed in to me that there's always somebody worse off in your in the situation. And for me, it was good, because I kind of went, all I've got to deal with is losing a leg. So, because there was other people in far worse off situations than me, even though we'd all lost legs.
Interesting. Where are you at with your family now? Where's the family at? Tell us about them.
Well, we've it's been unfortunately, John had a little bit of a nervous breakdown in February, so we're still getting help and recovering from that. my eldest daughter Jess has become a mum, and she's doing an amazing job, and she is doing really well. Ashley is my 16-year-old. She is still struggling a little bit. Unfortunately, I was pulled out of her life at a really crucial time for her, and we're still working every day to build that relationship and to make it better. Little Ethan, he's 10 now, and he was very close to Mum and really did not cope while I've been away. But since coming home, he does have a few anxiety issues that we're dealing with, and some anger issues as well. One of the things that Ethan actually said to me a couple of weeks ago is, "Why are you not angry, Mum? I'm angry. Why are you not?" And I really struggled to answer that for him, because I didn't know how to tell my 10-year-old that I'm not angry with what happened. It is what it is, and we just have to move on. But he couldn't understand that concept yet. So it has affected everybody on different levels as well. And I guess that's where we're at the moment, that each individual person is got something that we're working on.
Karen, what would you say to families like Paula, who are one of the main people in the home? The mum or the dad has gone through something quite massive, and obviously everybody is affected in different ways, and none of us know how that's going to play out. What's your thoughts and advice around that if the family members listen to a podcast like this?
It's not that complicated, actually. What we do tend to do, and I'm not suggesting this is what you're doing, Paula, I'm just going to go a little bit generic right now, but what we do tend to do is hold ourselves together and try and be strong for the family and try and be strong for the children. But in actual point of fact, what we're teaching our kids is how to handle adversity. And if our kids can learn that it's a natural response when there is adversity, either personal or to the family, when adversity is present, that we're an acknowledgement of it, we're open to talk about it, we're open to experience it, and we involve the family in that healing process. If we don't do that, for everybody that's listening, if we don't do that, we leave the children on their own to try and figure it out. And very similarly to us, they don't have a frame of reference for this. So they don't know what to access in order to help themselves heal or self-soothe. So that's when there may be behavior, they might be acting out, there may be some changes or some strange behavior that you're potentially not expecting from it. So being open and having open communication with the kids on how you're feeling is very important, and involving them not only in how you're feeling, but what you're doing about it. Because as much as it's an experience for the whole family going through it, the kids need to see what you're doing about it. Even if you don't know what to do, tell them, right now, Mum feels really tired. I feel really sad. I feel like I'm in a state of loss right now. I also feel a little bit angry. And you know what, kids? I actually don't know what to do with it right now. I'm figuring it out, though. And I promise you, in the next 24 hours, I'm going to have figured out what my next step is going to be. But one thing I know is I will take small steps, because I'm figuring this out moment by moment, not day by day, week by week. I'm figuring it out moment by moment. So if either of you or any of you kids have got any suggestions that you think might help, I'm really open to talking about this with you, because, you might be able to see something that I can't see. And I think that kind of open dialogue is really an invitation for the whole family to participate in the healing process, rather than trying to be strong on behalf of the kids, because as soon as we do that, we shut them out of it, and they're going through their own experience of it. And they don't have the tools like we do that comes from our experience. They don't have the tools to be able to handle it moment by moment. They just go into shutdown or breakdown, which we want to make sure that we avoid. Does that help?
Yes, and that's
brilliant.
That's certainly what I've been.
Sorry, Paula. I just wanted, because Cindy's such a advocate for healing and rehabilitation as well. Like, Karen to me is the go-to when it comes to the mindset and how we can recover from these things. And you've been so open to all of these conversations and listening to Up for a Chat. And then, Cindy, from a healing perspective, I mean, Paula's body has been, a part of me is amazed she's still here and how the body is so resilient on many levels. I mean, what's your thoughts on what she should be doing now, even though she probably is? But I think, again, generically, what could our listeners be doing in these situations?
Well, it sounds, like it's really hard to know exactly what was happening, but it sounds like Paula's had a lot of antibiotics. And just knowing that, and no doubt broad spectrum, because they may not have known exactly what it was, or if they did know what it was, they may have given, specific to the bacteria that was causing the problem. So, I always go to the gut, and I'd want to fix the gut, because the gut is the seat of the immune system. It's the seat of the nervous system. And so if we heal that gut and give it the food that it needs after it's been healed and give it back its bacteria, then it should strengthen the immune system. We know this, and it will also strengthen how we think and what we're thinking about, because we've seen that the gut has an axis between itself and the brain, and it makes 90%, the gut that is, makes 90% of our neurotransmitters, which helps us with our thought processes, helps us ward off anxiety. So that's where I would go, Kim. And that's all I know to go to. I only know the food side of it. And then, Karen.
How would you do that on a budget? Like, there's lots of protocols. We could send thousands of dollars in coaching and all sorts of things, but how, are you talking chicken soup? Is that a great, what are you talking as far as
chicken soup?
Yeah.
If we start with chicken soup. But, having said that, we know that many of our chickens, and this is something that, Paula has to be very, she has to be careful of this, is that many of our chickens are eating genetically modified foods which have been sprayed with glyphosate. Glyphosate being something that destroys the bacteria in our gut or stops it, creating amino acids which help our neurotransmitters. So it's so hard on a budget to say, look, you have to go organic, because an organic chicken could be twice as much as a non-organic chicken. So then the question is, well, do I do the best with what I've got? And that's what we've got to do. We've just got to go the best with what we've got. One of the things that will help is a gelatin. Gelatin is the protein and helps not only the immune system, but helps the matrix of the bones. So, even a gelatin might be good. And, there is organic gelatin out there. So on a budget, do you go to the fruit and veggie shop and pick out the ones that aren't perfect? They're the imperfect ones, or as they call them, ugly fruit and vegetables. Grow your own, and that may not be just easy at the moment. But perhaps we have a working bee where we go to Paula's house and create a garden. Maybe this is, if people can't afford money, they can afford time. Do we go to the local community garden and get some food out of there? So I'm only just giving you a few suggestions that perhaps can be done. There's a lot of food wasted out of our fruit and veggie shops, and maybe go and get the old fruits and veggies from those shops and say, this is what's happening to me, and then make a vegetable stock out of that and add that to everything. So I know many people that are on budgets that are still able to eat well, and they become creative. And it sounds like that's what you are, Paula. You're very creative in what you need to do. And so you become creative. And this would also go into Break a Leg, as Kim has called your book.
Yes.
How do you do this?
Getting creative has also caused other issues in the family, because previous to my accident, there was a way that we ate, and now I'm learning so much more about the benefits of whole foods and things like that, that their kids are actually not liking what they're getting for dinner and things like that. So it's been a real challenge to try and do it. For me, I'm happy to have bone broth and chicken soup and that has become part of what we do. And we have more fruit and vegetables in our house now than we ever did previous to my accident. So, but it's also having that transition, because we were, while I was in hospital, John just basically did what he could to feed them, and that didn't always necessarily mean it was healthy. So it's been a transition for me to bring the whole foods into the family, as well as the challenge for me is I just can't go to the gym and lose weight like I would have normally, because I find it really hard to get my heart rate up because I can't run and I can't do all the things that I need to do to lose the weight that I've gained. And so for me, my main focus is with food, and that's how I've been losing the kilos that I need to lose to be able to walk better. It's all been through food.
Yeah, and food makes a big difference. I don't know if I've already put this on up for a chat, but I'm inspired by a beautiful lady on my protocol group, and she basically had talked about a lot of things that had changed for her, but she lost 80 kilos doing my 4-phase protocol. But one of the things she said is, I have inspired my kids to be more aware of what they eat. And no doubt that that's what you're doing as well. Yours is not, you haven't lost 80 kilos, you've lost your leg, but you're inspiring them to eat well, which will be something that will, take them into the future. I was listening to Felicia Jack, the most amazing woman that's working at Deakin University at the moment, and she talks about that we know that food is the biggest cause of chronic disease that we're seeing today, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, things like that. So she says that this is something that we know, but nobody's looking at the food that we're consuming. And they continue to eat packaged food. So good on you for inspiring your family and your children to do that, Paula.
Yeah. And, even with Jess now, with her new little bubby, we're looking at ways that she can make her own baby foods and things like that. She's really keen to learn as much as she can about starting. She's breastfeeding at the moment, but once Bubby goes on to solids, she wants to do it all organic, and so that is, she's seen what I've been doing, and she wants to now put that into her own family, which is awesome.
It is awesome.
It's been a fantastic podcast all round, and we are out of time right now, gals. So I just wanted to open it up just very quickly to Paula to see if there was anything else she wanted to add to encourage our listeners to, get behind the support of that crowdfunding. Was there anything more that you wanted to mention, Paula, or have we covered everything off for you?
No, I would just love to inspire anybody to come and run or walk with me on the track on the 27th of May. What it will mean for me is it will take the risk out of falling, and have me able to do 90% of what I could have done with 2 legs once I do get my new leg. And for me, that is very important to work on the next chapter of what is going to be a very busy and inspiring life.
Oh, I get so excited when I hear that.
Me too.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so for everybody that's listening to today's podcast, all you need to do is jump online, go to Google, and type in Many Miles for Paula. And when you do that, you're going to see the crowdfunding site, which is chuffed.org.
Is that CHUFT, Karen?
CH, good question. CHUFFED.
Oh, chuffed. Oh, chuffed.
As in, we're really chuffed with you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yes. Let's see here. It's chuffed, CHUFFED.org/project/many-miles-for-Paula. Now, we're going to put that in the show notes. So don't worry, everybody. You just have to go to the show notes to find that website so that you can get behind Paula. And then, Kimmy, when's the run?
It's on Saturday, May the 27th. Yeah. Or walk. I mean, with my back surgery, I won't probably be running, but I'm certainly going to be there walking every single step that I can. And for those of you, if you ever get the opportunity to meet Paula or share this podcast with people that you know going through a tough time, she's been incredibly humble on this call, and she's been incredibly quiet about what she's done and achieved. And, you know, she said she was inspired by me when she first met me, but I have to say, Paula, you are probably one of the most inspiring women I know to endure what you've done, but also to turn it into a positive. And, you know, I can hear Karen in your voice so many times. And I just want to say on behalf of the three of us and every single listener out there, we are behind you 100% to support you and turn your family in a way that has, if you look back on this experience, has been one of the most greatest and most biggest opportunities you could have ever imagined. And I just want to say we love you dearly.
Oh, thank you, Kimmy. And you know, being part of the HLE program for me has made a huge impact on my life, because that's where it all began. So I am so grateful to you.
Oh, beautiful. Well, this has been an amazing podcast, Paula. You're, as Kim says, you're an incredible inspiration. So thank you for sharing your journey with us, and thank you for sharing your journey with our listeners. No doubt you've had our listeners in tears and riding a roller coaster from tears to inspired to enthusiastic to what they can take on, you know, for themselves in their own lives as a result of what you're, you know, setting an example for. So thank you, my love, from the bottom of our hearts. So for everybody who has listened to today's...
I love you all.
Beautiful.
It's not hard, Paula. It's not hard. No.
Oh, you're only human, she says.
I do love these girls. Yes.
So for everybody listening to today's podcast, jump on over to allthews.facebook.com/up-for-a-chat and post your comments and your questions there potentially for Paula, and we'll make sure that she gets hold of them. You can also go to allthews.thewellnesscouch.com/up-for-a-chat, and you can post your questions and comments there. And don't worry, we will make sure that all of the links are in the show notes and also on the Facebook posts so that you guys can grab the details there to reach out to Paula as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Up for a Chat. It's a super exciting ride, as always. Before I sign off, I just wanted to let you guys know that we still have some tickets available for our trip to Africa next year. So if you want to find out a little bit more about that, go to allthews.awakenthechangewithin.com. And we would love to share a couple of weeks with you as we trek through the extraordinary dirt tracks and all the beautiful adventures that our spectacular Bear Grylls, aka Cindy O'Meara, has organized for us. So it's awakenthechangewithin.com. We're going to see you guys on the ride, same time, same station, right here on Up for a Chat, where you get to become part of the ripple effect that's changing the world. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives. Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.